Yeah, it's not in our control, but it seems like I was just saying, it would feel a lot worse than you do right now if you were to go out there and see Baltimore lose and us lose too. So hopefully people realize that, and I think they do. And obviously it's a little, definitely deflating. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not and lie to you. It was tough. It's been a long season and put a lot of effort in, especially the last game, the way it went. And at the same time, you got to keep going.
All right, David DeCastro keeping it real in the Steelers locker room following practice today here at the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. The Steelers, of course, getting ready to host the Bengals in the regular season finale. So let's take a quick look at the practice report for Wednesday. 2 guys not practicing due to injuries sustained in the game against the Saints in New Orleans. Sean Davis dealing with a quad injury. Vince Williams dealing with a toe injury. Then Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, and Marquise Pouncey getting coaches' days off. The good news is James Conner was a full participant today to start off the week. And joining me now to talk about the practice report and much more is Craig Wolfley. So good news, Wolf.
Yes.
Whenever you see James Conner as a full participant, kind of building on what he was able to do last week.
Absolutely, Missy. You know, the thing that you want out of this young guy is to come back and see if you can hit it in one big game. See how it goes, get it going, and you know that provides for the team such a nice lift. Look, there's a few things that are got the Debbie Downers going on about what could happen, but look, it ain't over till we say it's over, is the way you put it. You know, and you got to go out there and you have your big back. He's back, and hopefully, I would love to see on a personal note for him to get pushed over the 1,000-yard marker. It's a nice thing to have in your resume, as it were. And so to have James back, you got the big banger back, and I love the thought of you've got coming in not only this game and in the future, you've got 2 young backs who really are very complimentary of each other.
All right, last week James Conner told us a little bit more about his injury, how he was day to day and how he was feeling. Today in the locker room, though, he was keeping it a little more tightly vested to his vest. So let's take a listen.
Is it your hope that you'll be able to play Sunday?
Yeah, I wish I could have played the last 3 weeks, but we're getting better.
Are you more encouraged this week than last week?
It's getting better.
Is this the most you've done since you injured it? Today's practice?
It's getting better.
What does it feel like to have to watch, knowing how badly you want to be out there and to see this close game?
It's not fun. I like playing, you know, so wish I could have been out there.
It was in his best interest. I stole that from Pursuta. Pursuita's in the studio already heckling us. I'm still in Christmas mode. I'm sorry.
Exactly,
and I'm tired.
well, you should be.
I'll get it together.
That's all right. You just pulled a Wolfley and you paint, you back yourself into a corner and paint everything off there, and there you sit.
That's all right. All right, so not too much from James Conner other than it's getting better, but that's
No
okay. We don't
question.
need to know, all the details about it.
No, because all you've got to know is full practice. Not limited, not partial, not this or that. It's a full practice. And so for James to do that, that's the big thing now. The question is, do you go and you have this great practice and you feel good? What's it feel like when you wake up in the morning? That's going to be the key.
All right, we will stay tuned and pay attention to that tomorrow when the Steelers are back on the practice fields, but 2 awards were handed out today thanks to the Pro Football Writers Association. We will start with Joe Hayden. He is winning the Chief Award, and Joe Hayden, one of those guys, we've talked about this all the time, Wolf. He's great with the media and the good times and the bad times, and he was actually just upstairs having his press conference for winning the Chief Award, and I saw that he said, I just want to treat people the way that I want to be treated, and I think that pretty much epitomizes Joe Hayden.
That's well said, Missy. It's so true. When you look at this guy and his performance, not only is he a performer on the field, but he's a performer off the field. Well-spoken, and he is not one to shrink. One of the things that it was apparent to me when you go through a pro career as a pro athlete, there are certain times when, after a bad game, a bad season, what have you, you don't want to be talking to the press, but it's part of what you do. You're that athlete. So for Joe Hayden, after a good game, after a bad game, it's all the same to him. He steps up, looks you in the eye and tells you what he thinks, and he does so and does it in a way that he's courteous and yet he's professional. You see his seriousness and you also know his playfulness, and the part is he's a great guy, he's a great player, and he's not afraid to stand up when things go bad or when things are going well.
All right, congratulations to Joe and also to first-round draft pick Terrell Edmunds. He has been named the Joe Green Great Performance Award winner for the top rookie, voted on by some of the beat writers in the Pro Football Writers Association. And this is a guy that, as we were talking a little bit before the show started, we have really seen start to take the right way and peak, where maybe, you've been hitting that quote unquote rookie wall, but he has kind of really fought through it. And, just to give you some quick stats here, Wolf, 69 tackles, 4 passes defense, 3 quarterback hits, 1 tackle for loss, 1 fumble recovery, and also 1 interception.
Young man has acquitted himself well. Yeah, he's had some down moments. Who doesn't? I remember when Troy Polamalu, people were all over the place his rookie year saying that he was a bust. This young man has played hard, he's played well, he's in the mix, and he's been fighting each and every week and trying to get better. And so you respect that. He's come off a long year, as you just pointed out, Missi. I mean, with the combine, the draft, OTA, summer camp, preseason, and then the regular season. You look at this and say, what a growth this young man has undergone. Being not just playing the strong safety or the free safety or playing 3 in the 3 safeties or all those. I mean, it's the specialty sub packages that he's gotten in on and done a great job. So look, hats off to him thus far. The road isn't over. The journey has not ended for this year. But I would certainly say when you are the recipient of anything that includes Joe Green's name with great excellence award type thing, and you're sitting pretty good.
All right, so congratulations to Terrell and Joe, and maybe Joe could give a call to his friends in Cleveland and help us out a little bit this weekend. All right, well, thanks so much for joining me today. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, Mike PRISUTA with his perspective for the season finale. And we are back. Joining me now, as he does every Wednesday, is Mike PRISUTA with his perspective as we get ready for the Cincinnati Bengals to come to Pittsburgh. Hey, Mike.
Thanks, Missi. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And the Steelers' inability to do so consistently enough in late-game situations is what's most responsible for their current predicament. Last Sunday's near miss in New Orleans was the most recent occurrence of, as guard David DeCastro put it, finding ways to lose games. This time it was a fumble. In Oakland, it was a field goal attempt that hit Ramon Foster's backside rather than sailed through the uprights. In Denver, it was an almost unexplainable interception in the end zone. The offense has also delivered as advertised when it's really mattered, the last-minute touchdowns in Cincinnati and Jacksonville standing as the most prominent examples. But there haven't been enough of those, dating all the way back to the regular season opener in Cleveland, when the Steelers got the ball back with 1:58 left in regulation of a game that had just been tied and eventually punted. They also punted on the second possession of overtime and missed a field goal on the 4th. They're constructed to thrive late when a game is on the line, as games often are in the current NFL climate. Their expectation is to rise to the occasion in such situations. And while the defense and special teams have likewise been culpable this season, it's the offense that's prepared and peopled to save the day when circumstances dictate that's what it takes. But it hasn't been able to on enough occasions. One more would have drastically changed the narrative. One more still might. Given the way the Steelers were able to spread the Saints out and carve the Saints up in the toughest of environments, it's hard not to envision an offense that's finally hitting its stride. Eliminate the turnovers in critical moments, and they might yet be something to behold. But the chance to become that in the postseason is no longer entirely in the Steelers' control. It's been fumbled more than it's been taken from them. Are you ready for some football? Finishing hasn't been the only issue this season that's mattered, but it's been the most impactful. Whether it ends on Sunday or in February, the search for off-season answers and evolution could do worse than to begin there. I'm Mike PRISUTA, and that is this week's PRISUTA'S Perspective.
And I certainly don't want it to end, because that is literally the worst part of the season. You go through the OTAs, the minicamp, the training camp, just everything, and it's to the point where the Steelers can only control what they can control, which is, of course, beating the Bengals, Mike. But you really have to start rooting for the Cleveland Browns to do what they already did to the Ravens this year.
You just made the point. They've already done it. And, the team that did it for Cleveland didn't have Baker Mayfield established. He started that game, but he has come a long way since then. It did not have Nick Chubb running the ball. The Browns were counting on Carlos Hyde. The Ravens team's a little different, too, with Lamar Jackson. But I think this Cleveland team that's going into Baltimore is not only capable, I think it's going to be very motivated for a number of reasons. the most significant of which is the Browns are on a 5-2 run, and I think they have discovered after these many years that winning is better than losing. I think they want to keep the good times rolling. I think they want to screw up the Ravens, and I think they can do it, Missy. I know it's there's a lot of gloom and doom hanging around right about now, but buck up. It's not, as Wolf pointed out, it's not over until it's over, and I hear no fat lady singing just yet.
All right, Mike, thanks for joining me. Stay right there. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, Bob Labriola is on hand for this week's edition of Agree to Disagree. We'll be right back. All right, well, we have already established that Bob and Mike have made the naughty list, but let's see what we can do on this edition of Agree to Disagree, the show with the motto.
I'm right, he's wrong. Go Browns. Go Browns.
That naughty call stands after further review.
That one didn't need to be reviewed.
All right, all right.
That was obvious even to Al Riveron.
I forgot I had the bell for a second there. Let's get class in order, kids. All right, statement number one, the Browns can win because of Baker Mayfield. And Lab, since you brought up show and tell today, you're first.
I agree. Baker Mayfield may be a little tough to take for a lot of people who are not Browns fans in terms of his brashness and confidence/arrogance, depending again whether you're a Browns fan or not. But this guy is a player. I'm gonna mention a few names of quarterbacks that you might have heard of: Dak Prescott, Cam Newton, Eli Manning, Marcus Mariota, and that multimillionaire Case Keenum. What do they all have in common? They're all ranked below Baker Mayfield in the NFL passer ratings. Baker Mayfield's completing 64.6%, 24 TDs, 11 interceptions, the same number as Captain America from that team up north. His rating is 95.4. The Ravens have an outstanding defense, but a guy like Mayfield, he colors outside the line sometimes. You might think you have him contained. He escapes containment, makes a big play down the field. I think that's the way that the Browns can score in the Ravens defense, and that's the way Cleveland's going to win at M&T Bank Stadium on Sunday.
Pursuta.
You know, you make some good points. He's played particularly well of late. Baker Mayfield has, as have the Cleveland Browns. But I will disagree just because I don't think Baker Mayfield is going to need to be all that dangerous. I think that Cleveland defense can really put the clamps on a Baltimore offense that has been doing it a little bit differently than just about everybody else does it under Lamar Jackson. And while the Ravens have been winning, they haven't exactly been lighting up scoreboards. They didn't light up the scoreboard against the Chargers. They've been scoring just enough to win. Hey, that is the object of the exercise. Credit to the Ravens for that. But that Browns defense can turn you over like nobody else. I wonder how an inexperienced quarterback is going to fare that way. They already turned Joe Flacco over a couple of times in October. I think they can get to Lamar Jackson. I think they can get pressure on the passer. I think they can deal with the read option. Cleveland's got players on defense that have been flying around, and they look like they're having fun doing it. And here's a stat for you, Labs. The Browns are 7-1-1 when they allow 21 points or fewer. I don't think Baltimore gets to 20, and I think Cleveland wins the game.
You think Lamar Jackson gets to the end of the game? Greg Williams, defensive coordinator.
All right. Statement number two. If they get in, I like their chances against anybody. Pursuta.
That's what Cam Hayward said in the locker room in New Orleans. And believe it or not, I am going to agree with him and agree with the statement. The Steelers are in a little bit of a pickle here. They do not control their own fate. Thank you. But they can get in, and if they do get in, what we have seen this season, I think we've seen a team that has gotten better as the season has progressed. I think we have seen a team that has showed up against the likes of the Chargers, against the likes of the Patriots, and yes, even against the likes of the Saints, who probably are the team to beat right now, given that they have a home ice advantage in the NFC, and they can stay in the Dome Sweet Dome all the way to Atlanta. The Steelers didn't win all those games. In fact, they didn't beat the Chargers, and they didn't beat the Saints, but that does not mean they would be incapable of doing so the next time. I think the Steelers are close. They're going to need a little help to get in, but if they do get in, particularly in an AFC that I see as absolutely wide open without a favorite, yeah, I would like their chances against anybody.
All right, Labs.
I agree with the statement, and I agree with Mike, and I also agree with Cam Hayward, who went to The Ohio State University, which is where the Cleveland Browns live as well, Ohio.
That's their problem.
And the other, the other team, Mike mentioned all of the teams except one that the Steelers played pretty decent against, who you figure to be among the tougher teams to beat in the playoffs, and that other one is the Kansas City Chiefs. And that happened in week 2 of the season, really, in my mind, before the Steelers defense really had gotten its sea legs, really had established whatever kind of identity they were looking to establish, really before they'd even settled on different personnel groupings for the various packages they want to get into. I think this defense, it's not great, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was at the beginning of the season. It's nowhere near the worst defense that's going to be in these playoffs, especially in the AFC.
Yeah, not the same Kansas City offense either. Good point by you.
And so, yes, I agree with Cam Hayward, and for a change, Mike Prisuta.
All right, this is a very bizarre one. I think everybody's still in the Christmas spirit.
Can I give you an idea to decide it?
Give it to the helmet? Give it to the Browns.
Since the other option is a tie game between Indianapolis and Tennessee, why don't we call this a draw?
I like
and
it.
move on to January.
All right. All right, I'm in. Go Browns. That is going to do it for this edition of Agree to
Go Colts
Disagree,
and Titans.
and also for Steelers Live. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m.